Welcome to the nationally syndicated Energy Mixx radio show, produced by the Energy Network Media Group. The Energy Mixx radio show will give you an inside look at the energy industry and how it affects you by talking with industry leaders, experts, and government officials on the Energy Mixx radio show.
Welcome to the Energy Mixx radio show, the show that keeps America's energy heartbeat in sync with the stories that matter. I'm your host, Kim Bolado, and today is no ordinary broadcast day. We are closing in on our 500th show. That's right, 500 episodes of power-packed coverage, insight, and bold conversations about the fuel that keeps the lights on, the wheels turning, and the economy moving. And to celebrate, we're going live from a very special historic location, one that is central to telling America's energy story. And if you think you know where I'll be taping, leave your guess in the comment section where you're catching this broadcast. And if you're right, and you put the comment in before the show airs, I will send you one of our exclusive Energy Mixx radio show coffee mugs. So think fast, but post even faster. And to our Energy Mixx family listener, before we kick off today's show, which is about what is in the big, beautiful bill, I want to share some important information with you. You know, we've been building something powerful here, and we need you in it. Across all the platforms where our show lives, radio, podcast, and digital, 53% of our listeners don't take the next step. They hear the show, but they don't click, share, or connect. But if you are one of the 47% who has, on behalf of my team and myself, I sincerely thank you. Because if you have never clicked or shared before, I would like to encourage you to help us grow this mission. And why? Because energy affects every single part of our lives. It powers your home, it powers your car, it powers your phone, it touches the economy, the environment, and your future. So if you value what we're doing, share it, click it, like it, and subscribe to it on whatever your platform is that allows you to do so. And every action that helps us bring more people into this conversation is greatly appreciated. And also, if there's something you want to learn about or something you think I should be looking into or possibly someone I should be interviewing, please email me personally. I truly want to hear from you. Please email me at radio@shalemag.com. Again, that's radio@shalemag.com. You know, some platforms don't let you leave a message, and I understand that. So shoot me an email. Tell me your thoughts, tell me your questions, and most importantly, share our message and share our mission. And let's build a better understanding of how energy works and how it can benefit our lives. Because this is one of the most vital conversations that we could be having and should be having. Let's get into today's show. Today, we're taking apart the big, beautiful bill that was just signed into law by President Trump and how it is reshaping taxes, spending, and our energy future. So, what is in the big bill and what makes it so beautiful? This bill is a sweeping overhaul of domestic policy, tax cuts, federal spending reduction, and it is laser focused on fossil fuels. It's beautiful to its supporters because it promises lower taxes and energy independence. So, what are we talking about and what is making waves in the energy world? The big, beautiful bill is being called a game changer for domestic energy, and here is why the oil and gas sector is paying close attention. It restores full deductions for drilling costs, making exploration and production more financially viable. It also mandates new lease sales on federal lands and offshore areas, and that is opening up access to reserves that had previously been restricted. It also delays methane emission fees until 2035, giving producers more time to adapt without immediate penalties. It boosts carbon capture tax credits, especially for enhanced oil recovery, and a win for innovation and profitability. And It lowers royalty rate back to pre-IRA levels, reducing the cost of doing business on federal lands. These provisions are designed to stimulate production, reduce regulatory friction, and enforce the U.S. as once again a global energy leader. But there was also discussion and controversy pertaining to the clean energy sector. So, how does the bill treat clean energy? We're talking about how the big, beautiful bill phased out nearly all federal tax credits for wind, solar, EVs, and heat pumps, many of which were originally extended through 2032. But under the Inflation Reduction Act, now most of those incentives will expire in 2027, and companies have a narrow window to finish projects before the door closes. Now, I have said this before, so I will say it again. Solar, wind, EVs, they do have a place. They have been riding the wave of government stimulus for years. And I believe in the power of free markets. If these technologies are truly viable, they should be able to stand on their own without constant federal support. This bill is asking that question. Can clean energy compete without a crutch? And that's a conversation worth having. We'll keep unpacking this, but being removed, what's being protected, what it means for the energy sector as a whole, because whether it's oil, gas, solar, or wind, energy drives everything, and we need to understand how policy is shaping its future. Now, back to the big, beautiful bill and oil and gas. Many believe that it is a fossil fuel renaissance. So, because the bill is a full-throttle green light for domestic production, the big, beautiful bill mandates new lease sales across federal lands and offshore waters. And it unlinks those sales from renewable, which means no more waiting around for solar and wind to be bundled into it. That's a big deal. It restores royalty rates to pre-IRA levels, dropping them back down to 12.5 to 16.7%, and allows producers to fully deduct intangible drilling cost, which makes up 60 to 80% of well expenses. In translation, lower cost, faster permitting, and more drilling. This is a direct investment into America's energy independence. It also delays the methane emission fee until 2035, giving producers time to innovate without being penalized. And for those of you in the Gulf Coast and Permian Basin, hear this. This is a big game changer. It mandates 30 lease sales in the Gulf of Mexico over 15 years and more than 30 leases annually across 9 states. Now, that's not just policy. That is boots on the ground, rigs in the field, and jobs in the pipeline. But there were other areas that we need to look at too. Now, let's talk about coal, because it's not just surviving, it's being revived. The bill opens up 4 million additional acres of federal land for coal mining. Now, that's a massive expansion. It also slashes the royalties that coal companies pay to the government, making it cheaper to mine and way more attractive to investors. And here's something new. Metallurgical coal, the kind used in steelmaking, is now eligible for advanced manufacturing tax credit. That is a first. It's a signal that coal isn't just about power generation anymore. It's about infrastructure, construction, and industrial strength. Now, senators from coal-heavy states fought hard for this, and they got it. The bill also streamlines permitting and environmental review, cutting red tape and speeding up development. Now, that means fewer days, more production, and more jobs in places like Wyoming, West Virginia, and Kentucky. And for those of you who have been watching the decline of coal for the last decade, well, this is a pivot. It's not just policy, it's a statement. that coal still matters. And let's not forget the tax breaks for coal exports. Metallurgical coal producers, especially those shipping overseas, are now eligible for a 2.5 production tax credit. And that means hundreds of millions in annual savings across the industry. Now, it is a quiet provision, but it's powerful because it's about keeping America coal competitive on a global stage. Now, when we come back from break, we're going to continue on the conversation of coal and how it is being reflective, and then we're going to get right back on to the tax credits that were included and carbon capture. So don't go away. You're listening to the Energy Mixx Radio Show, and we'll be right back.
Join the Sky High team for the 2025 Energy Classic Sporting Clay Tournament in Houston on Friday, September 26th at the Greater Houston Sports Club in Houston, Texas. This great event starts at 12 noon and goes until 7 p.m., focused on the oil and gas industry. There will also be a small live auction during the event. That's the 2025 Energy Classic in Houston, Texas, Friday, September 26th. To register, go to us.givergy.com/25energyclassic. The Texas Oil and Gas Association Safety Group is your pipeline to discounts, dividends, and industry expertise. It's a value-added benefit from Texas Mutual Insurance Company, the state's leading workers' comp provider. At Texas Mutual, they know the oil and gas industry, which means you'll have access to expert resources and information that make your business better. As a safety group member, you'll also save about 12% on your workers' comp premium, and that's just the beginning. While Texas Mutual policyholders can earn an annual dividend for keeping their workers safe, safety group members can get something even better, a second dividend. That's up to 2 dividends every year. Plus, you'll get service-focused coverage from Texas Mutual, a workers' comp partner you know and trust. The Texas Oil and Gas Association Safety Group is tailor-made for your business. Talk to your agent or learn more at texasmutual.com/TXOGA. Dividends are based on performance and not guaranteed.
Any business can benefit from advertising to the oil and gas industry, but it's really important to partner with a marketing company that has a proven track record with this growing industry. Shale Oil and Gas Business Magazine is the one-stop shop that'll keep you in front of the customers that you need to grow your business. So let's start growing your business in Texas. Email us, info@shalemag.com. Again, that's info@shale, SHALE, mag.com. Or you can call us, 210-240-7188. Again, that's 210-240-7188.
And welcome back to the Energy Mixx Radio Show. I'm your host today, Kim Bolado, and today we're covering the big, beautiful bill and what's in it and how is it changing on the energy spectrum. But before we get back into the topic of coal that we were on in the previous segment, I'd like to talk to you about something important. You know, our radio show is also podcasted, and our show lives on several platforms: radio, digital, podcasting. But did you know 53% of our listeners do not take the next step? They hear our show, but they don't click, share, or connect. But if you are one of the 47% that do, we say thank you. But if you have never clicked or shared before, I want to encourage you, help us grow our mission. And why? Because energy affects every single part of our lives. It powers our homes, our cars, and our phones. It touches the economy, the environment, and our future. So if you value what we are doing, share it, click it, like it, and subscribe to it, whatever your platforms allow you to do. Because each action helps us bring more people into the conversation. Also, if there is something you want to learn about or someone you think I should interview, email me personally because I want to hear from you at radio@shalemag.com. You know, some platforms will not let you leave a message, and I understand that. So shoot me an email and tell me your thoughts, tell me your questions, and most importantly, share our message and share our mission. And let's build a better understanding of how energy works and how it benefits our lives, because this is probably one of the most important conversations we should be having. Now, back into today's show, the big, beautiful bill. In the previous segment, I was talking about coal. So let's get back on that. Pertaining to mining and the royalty front, this bill is a full-on reset. It cuts royalty rates across the board, and not just for coal, folks. It's also for oil, gas, and critical minerals. That's a direct cost savings for producers. And it also allows non-competitive bids again, which the IRA had eliminated. So that opens the door for smaller operators and independent producers. Welcome back into the game. And for critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and rare earth materials, the bill phases out the 45X tax credit by 2033. And that's going to shift investments away from clean tech and back to traditional energies. Now, guys, we've had shows on how important the critical minerals are. We know that our laptops, our cell phones, and our electric vehicles need these minerals. So this is an important topic. And talking coal is also talking about reality. As your host, I want to remind everyone listening that energy is a global commodity. And if the United States doesn't step up and provide it, other countries will. And that's the fact that not all of them are playing by the same rules. And here's the truth. America produces energy cleaner than any other nation on earth. And that is not a slogan. That is a fact that is backed by innovation, regulatory oversight, and companies that understand that it is their responsibility to the planet. The coal plant today is equipped with advanced pollution controls that reduce nitrogen dioxide by 83%, sulfite dioxide by 98%, and particulate matters by 98.8% compared to older facilities. That's not just cleaner, that's world class. And now, in contrast, that with what's happening in China, they're bringing on 2 to 3 coal plants online every single week. And many of those plants don't meet the environmental standards that are required here. They're not subjected to the same scrutiny, the same accountability, and the same commitment to innovation. And that is not just an environmental issue. It's a global imbalance. If we're talking about climate, we need to talk about who actually is leading. And I'll say it plainly. The U.S. is the gold standard, and our energy sector is something that other nations should be mimicking, not criticizing. But it isn't just about emissions. It is also about national security. If we've learned anything from the wars in Ukraine, Israel, and Iran, it's that energy dominance matters. When America leads in energy, the world is stable. When we retreat, our adversaries fill the vacuum. So here's my message. We must allow innovation to thrive. We must empower our operators to produce energy on a global scale, because if we don't, we're conceding ground to nations that don't share our values or our standards. We have to take a quick break, but when I return, I will be back on the big, beautiful bill, and the next segment will be covering carbon capture. And we're back. You're listening to the Energy Mixx radio show, and I'm your host, Kim Bolado. And if you are listening right now, and you've got thoughts, questions, and or you think I should be interviewing someone on this topic, email me directly at radio@shalemag.com. Again, that's radio@shalemag.com. I want to hear from you. And let's keep the conversation honest, informative, and unapologetic as a pro-energy show. Because when America leads, the world is in a better place. And now let's drill into carbon capture in the big, beautiful bill. Because the bill doesn't just keep it alive, it supercharges it, folks. The 45Q tax credit for carbon sequestration is expanded. And here is the kicker. It now gives the same high credit value for oil, for enhanced oil recovery, as it does for geological storage. And that's a huge incentive for oil producers who use captured CO2 to boost its output. It's not just about emissions anymore, it's about production. And for direct air capture, And industrial facilities, the credit remains at 180 per metric ton. That's one of the most generous incentives in the tax code, and it's designed to make carbon capture financially viable, and not just for big oil, but it's also for cement, steel, and chemical producers. And while some critics say that CCS is expensive and unproven, well, the bill says this: let's invest, let's innovate, and let's lead. So, the bottom line? The bill treats carbon capture not as a climate tool, but as a production strategy. It's about using CO2 as a resource, not just a liability. And for those of you in the energy sector, that's a whole new way of thinking about emissions. You know what? Should we talk about innovation? Because the bill does make room for it. But it's a narrow hallway, not a wide open runway. Now, as your host, I want to be clear. The big, beautiful bill is not anti-technology. It is pro-strategic innovation. It's just choosing where to place its bets. And now that bet is on carbon capture and hydrogen, especially where it supports oil and gas. So let's talk about hydrogen. The bill gives a short extension to the 45V hydrogen production tax credit, now available for projects that are being constructed before January 1st, 2028, instead of the original 2033 deadline. Now, that's a 2-year reprieve, and it signals that hydrogen will play a role, especially blue hydrogen, which uses natural gas and carbon capture. But it also challenges developers. Now that they have a tighter window, they got to get the projects moving. Now, carbon capture. This is where the bill leans in. The 45Q tax credit has been boosted significantly, especially for producers using captured CO2 for enhanced oil recovery. That means that companies injecting CO2 into wells to produce production now get the same high credit value as those storing it underground. Now, that's a win for innovation that supports output, not just emission reduction. So what this bill is saying is if you're innovative in ways that strengthen domestic energy production, we are backing you. Now let's take a quick break. You're listening to the Energy Mixx radio show, and we'll be right back. And we're back. You're listening to the Energy Mixx radio show. I'm your host today, Kim Bolado. Today, I have been covering what is in the big, beautiful bill that was signed by President Trump. And what does this mean to you and the energy sector? And I'm sure by now you have plenty of thoughts on what you've heard so far. Or possibly, maybe you are thinking that I should interview somebody. If so, please email me directly at radio@shalemag.com. Again, that's radio@shalemag.com. I want to hear from you. And now, what is in the big, beautiful bill, and what does it mean for small energy and manufacturing companies? Well, I would say that it's a really good time for them. So let me give you some examples. If you're a fabricator or a supplier or a service provider in the oil and gas, renewables, or industrial manufacturing, this bill is like flipping a switch on a new era of opportunity. Now, full expenses for equipment and facilities. So what's new and what's in the bill? Businesses now can deduct 100% of the cost for new equipment, machinery, and even buildings used for production immediately and not over years. So why does that matter? You know, small businesses struggle all the time in many different areas. But as an example, why it matters is, let's say there's a small welding shop in Midland. It can now upgrade with its plasma cutters and expand its workplace without waiting years to recover the cost through depreciation. Also included in the big, beautiful bill is domestic R&D reduction restored. So what is new is companies can fully deduct domestic research as well as development expenses, retroactively going back to 2022 for most small firms. And why that matters is as another example. A startup in Houston developing carbon capture technology can write off lab cost, software development, and even testing, freeing up cash to hire engineers and file more patents. And bonus depreciation made permanent. What's new? The bill locks in 100% bonus depreciation for qualified assets that are placed in service after January 2025. And why that matters is a pipeline component manufacturer in Corpus Christi can invest in automated tools to recover the full cost in 1 year. And that is boosting ROI and competitiveness. Now, Section 179, expensing expanded. The cap jumps from 2.5 million with a phase-out threshold of 4 million, and that's indexed for inflation. So, a mid-size oil fill firm can expense trucks, pumps, and leaseholds improvements without hitting the deduction ceiling. And for qualified business income deductions, they are made permanent. The pass-through entities, meaning the S corporations, partnerships, and sole proprietors, can now keep 20% of QBI deductions, now with expanded eligibility. And why does that matter? A family-run fabrication shop structured as a S corporation can reduce taxable income and reinvest it into hiring and expansion. This bill isn't just about big corporations, folks. It's about the small businesses that power our energy economy, from welders to water treatment startup. It gives them tools to grow, hire, and innovate. And in places like Texas, where energy and manufacturing are the backbone of local communities, that's a game changer. Now, I want to switch gears and discuss something brand new, something that you probably have not heard of, something that is one of a kind and first of its kind, and I'll give you a hint. It's titled, Virginia is about to change the energy game, and will Texas step up before the window closes? What do I mean by that? Let me get into that. Google just signed a groundbreaking deal with a company called Commonwealth Fusion Systems. They've committed to buying 200 megawatts of fusion power from a future plant in Virginia. Now, that's a huge vote of confidence in the clean energy space and a sign of what could power tomorrow's tech, from AI to massive data centers. Now, we've had plenty of shows talking about where are we going to get the power to power up all of these data centers that are coming online. We still have not figured out how to power the world and global demand. And now we have coming down the pike, we have to hurry up and find more energy sources, still look at the environment, but power up way more power than's ever been expected if we're going to continue to stay ahead of China in being able to provide what all of these huge data centers, Google and artificial intelligence, all of what they need that's coming online soon too. So it isn't a matter that we can't do it. It's a matter of how fast. Now, when I come back from break, we're going to drill down even further to what is happening in Virginia and this one-of-a-kind, groundbreaking deal that has happened with Google and the Commonwealth Fusion Systems. You're listening to the Energy Mix Radio Show, and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Energy Mix Radio Show. I'm your host, Kim Bolado, and today I hope you enjoyed the show as I tried to break down what is in the big, beautiful bill and what does it mean for the energy sector and you. But It's the end of the show, last segment, and I wanted to bring something to your attention, something that certainly caught mine. It was something that was titled Virginia is about to change the energy game. What does it mean? Well, Google signed a groundbreaking deal with a company called Commonwealth Fusion Systems. They've committed to buying 200 megawatts of fusion power from a future plant in Virginia. Now, this is a huge vote of confidence in the clean energy space and a sign that could power possibly tomorrow's tech, from AI to the massive data centers. But here's what gets me. Where is Texas? And why not Texas? We've got the brains, the land, and the know-how. The University of Texas has been doing incredible research right here at home, solving problems that could make fusion energy work faster and is cheaper. So if fusion is possible in the future, and trust me, the potential is massive, then why are we letting other states take the lead? So let me break down fusion real quick. It's the same kind of energy that powers the sun. Scientists here on Earth are learning how to recreate it by heating it up in special types of hydrogen until they fuse together and release energy. The energy is clean, it's powerful, and it doesn't pollute like traditional fuels. And one tiny bit of fusion fuel can produce as much as a ton of coal. Now, that's the kind of power we need to keep up with Google and the Microsofts of the world, not to mention potentially global supply. Let me give you some examples. Try to imagine. For manufacturing and fabrication shops, the benefit to them would be lower energy cost for high heating processes for like welding, metal cutting, and 3D printing. As an example, a small aerospace parts shop in San Antonio could run CNC machines and plasma cutters 24/7 without worrying about peak hours and energy rates. And potentially, let's look at data and AI startups. Fusion could power data centers with clean energy, reducing overhead and their carbon footprint. As an example, a local AI firm in Austin could host its own micro data center powered by compact fusion, avoiding cloud hosting fees and boosting security. Logistics and cold storage could also stand to benefit. There would be a stable, low-cost energy for refrigeration, warehousing, and EV fleet charging. As an example, a seafood distributor in Corpus Christi could maintain cold storage without spikes in energy bills, even during summer grid stress. Let's talk about clean tech and water purification. You know, it is no secret that Texas is looking for water. Water is like gold here in Texas. So the benefit of fusion would be, or could be, to support desalinization and water treatment systems with high energy demands. As an example, a startup in El Paso could offer affordable clean water solutions to rural communities using fusion power filtration. And what about remote and off-the-grid businesses? Could they benefit from fusion? Compact fusion reactors could power operations in areas without reliable grid access, and in Texas, that is huge. A glamping resort in West Texas could run entirely off the grid with fusion, offering luxury amenities without diesel generators. And a bonus would be the new business models that fusion could spark entirely new industries, such as microreactor maintenance firms, fusion power EV charging stations, and energy as a service startup offering subscription-based clean power. Texas can lead. We just need to make the choice before someone else writes the playbook for us. I'd love to get your thoughts. Or do you think I should be talking to somebody on this topic? Send me a note at shellmag.com. I'd love to keep the conversation going. And if you've got a story to share, a question to ask, or someone you think I should interview, email me directly at shellmag.com. Before we wrap up today's episode, let me ask you this. Are you part of the 53 who tune in every week but haven't signed up for our latest show? If you love the energy insights and interviews we bring to you, don't just listen, connect. It's really easy, and it's quick, and you can stay in the loop. Be sure to like us and follow us on our social media pages for behind-the-scenes updates, bonus content, and real-time discussions. And please be sure to sign up for our free newsletter to get every episode delivered straight to your mailbox. No more missed shows and no more guesswork, just pure Energy Mix Radio. And you can sign up by going to shellmag.com. If there's a topic you want me to cover that I have not, I'd love to hear from you. That is all for now. That is all the time we have. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
The Energy Mix Radio Show is where we explore topics that affect us all in the oil and gas industry. Every week, our host will interview the movers and shakers in this fast-paced industry. You'll hear from industry experts, elected officials, and many more on the Energy Mix Radio Show.